Hello there, welcome back to the Technology Innovation Hub. So it's going to be the 29th session on the Oracle architectural journey. We have been discussing the checkpoints, Oracle checkpoint mechanism, which is one of the most important and critical background processes in the Oracle database. So we covered the theoretical aspect of that. Now in this session, let's start the hands-on. So let's try to start the hands-on one here with some basic practicals, and little by little let's deep dive the checkpoint mechanism, how it works inside the database. So let me switch to my hands-on environment, and in the meantime we have this document as well where we have the categories of checkpoints: global checkpoint, incremental checkpoint, partial checkpoint. So having done the practical, let's get back to this one in detail. Now the very first thing is we need to understand whether any checkpoint related information is available in the alert file, because we know to monitor what's happening with the checkpoints, one of the major files that we have to look at in a standalone database. In a cluster environment it will be different, because in a cluster environment each instance will have separate alert file and there are a lot of other log files which is related to the instance. But in a standalone environment, we depend on the alert file mainly to take a look at the checkpoint information. Now I am in this location. This is in my 19C database in a trace directory where the alert file is. So let me tail alert file. So it will continuously update as the things are appended into the alert file. Now at the moment, okay, let me do something like this. On my left hand side, I am going to fire a command which is, you may aware at the moment, I am just going to say alter system checkpoint. Now it just said system altered. But on the right hand side, if we just look at, there was no information on the alert file. Now let me try it here again, repeating the command, but you can see there is no checkpoint information. There is no checkpoint information. Now alter system checkpoint, in theoretically we say it does a global checkpoint. Global checkpoint in a sense, it just clears all the dirty records in the buffer cache. Because clearing the LRO means it is an incremental checkpoint. Alter system checkpoint will do a global checkpoint or a full checkpoint. That means it will clear all the dirty buffers, whether it is LRO or not, all the modified buffers from the database buffer cache to the relevant data files via DB writer background process. That is what is going to happen on checkpoint, alter system checkpoint. Now to get more information, because it should dump to the information, it should dump to the alert file the information what is happening with this command. Now to get that one, the very first thing is we need to look at this parameter, show parameter. Let's say check, we just type check. There's a parameter log checkpoint to alert, this parameter. Now at the moment you can see this parameter is false. So as far as this parameter is false, Oracle will not update the alert file with the checkpoint information. So therefore, let's set the parameter to true. Type in alter system set log checkpoints to alert. I'm going to make it true. This is a dynamic parameter because I'm in the SP file or server parameter file. I can modify on the fly without bouncing the database. I'm telling it true. Now you can see on the right hand side the parameter modification is applied. And now if I just check that parameter, show parameter check, you can see now it is true. Now if I repeat the command, alter system checkpoint command, okay, now you notice on the right hand side, it added the information. You can see, okay, let me repeat it again. Now it's appending the information to the alert file. So what is telling? You can see it says the right word. This is from Oracle alert file directly updated from Oracle server. So it says from its own terminology, beginning global checkpoint. So that's the right wording, because there are checkpoint categories. When I do another checkpoint, for example, older system switch log file, it will do a different name. Now this is a global checkpoint. Global checkpoint, which is a most critical one in the database. Most critical means it will do the amount of I/O is higher in a global checkpoint, and it is going to update the control file and data file both, the header part of the data files as well as control files. It will get updated. So what it says, beginning global checkpoint up to relative block address, this particular address, and you can see the SCN. So we have learned in the theory, checkpoint is once a checkpoint completed, it should clear this checkpoint queue. Checkpoint queue means nothing much, just a continuous set of SCNs in a chronological order. So now you can see here, it shows that SCN number, beginning global checkpoint, it says up to RBA SCN number. Now this is the upper part of the SCN number. It should update up to that because there's a queue, no? Now SCN is a queue. In the previous checkpoint, it should have completed to this 10,018, the lower limit. And now it is trying to complete from this place. That is what it means. The previous checkpoint, the lowest part of the previous checkpoint, it should have completed up to this place. Let's say up to this place. Now after that, with the transition, the SCNs are getting added, no? SCNs are keep on updating. New SCN numbers are keep on adding to the system as per the transition. Now then when the checkpoint happens, it should complete the checkpoint up to this place as per this example. So that is what happens. In the database also, it says beginning global checkpoint up to relative block address. Relative block address, that is a particular address in the buffer cache where this last SCN number. So it says now I should complete the checkpoint queue up to this SCN. That's what it says. That's what it says. Now even if I repeat the command, now it is 541 6542. No? Now if I repeat the command, let's see what happens. I'm going to do it again because by now there's another queue. Now it says a different number, 590. Now it should complete. Now then 542 is the lower limit. 542 becomes the lower cap. Now it should complete till 590. That's the case. So there's a queue of from 542 to 590 is the queue at the moment, checkpoint queue. Oracle with this global checkpoint, it should complete up to this 590, and it should update the relevant header part of the data files and the control file with the latest checkpoint information, and it will finally sync up the data files, control files, and as the redo log files as well, because whatever committed in the redo log file should be updated to the data file. Should be updated to data file. It doesn't copy that one because we know the mechanism, because checkpoint will cause to plus the latest. Latest means now in this case this is a global checkpoint. So global checkpoint will plus the entire ready buffers to database files. So therefore whatever committed data which is in the database buffer cache, whatever committed data in the database buffer cache by now should have been plushed to the relevant data files. And on the other hand, the committed data is updated to the redo log files as well. Now it's just a matter of syncing up these two. So when the checkpoint takes place, the sync up process happens. It will check the redo log file, what is the latest SCN, and it will compare it with the data file, what is the latest SCN, and it will balance these things, and since it will sync it up. Sync it up means it will inform the data file, okay, I saw the latest SCN number in the redo log file, committed, this is the number, and in the data file also I can find it, okay. Now it is already committed in the redo log file, therefore you can confirm the record in the data file as well in the relevant tables. That is what going to happen. And finally, to the control file, it will inform, okay, I have checked the redo log file for the latest committed data, latest committed SCN number, and I have informed the DBF file as well with that latest committed number. So therefore, in the control file also, I am going to update this particular SCN as the latest SCN, and therefore I am checkpointing that position, and now the sync up is complete. So that is the process. That's what's going to happen. We will understand this one in more detail at the end of this architectural explanation, because we are going to put everything together. Buffer cache, redo, checkpoint, server process, all the things. So we'll get that full picture later, but for the time being, only for the checkpoint, I think that explanation is more than enough for you to understand how the checkpoint sync up happens. Now this is global checkpoint. That is one of the checkpoints, which is all the dirty buffers in the buffer can get flushed and the checkpoint process will get complete. You can see the output. Okay, let's do one more practical. I'm going to do something like this. Now the reason why it is updated, because at the moment there are no transitions happening, but the background processes are working. So that's why even for background process there's it assigns the SCN. So that's why this gap, that's why this queue build up, checkpoint queue or the CN list of SCNs from pi 4 to pi 90. We learned that under SCN explanation, you may remember. Okay, now you see the importance of understanding SCNs before learning checkpoint, otherwise you won't get it. Now you know the SCN queue, how the SCNs are updated even per transition. Now from even on left hand side, if I create a table and if I do update and commit, now you can get it because you know how the SCNs are behaving. So we don't need to go that far. But let me do one more command. I'm going to do something like this. Alt system switch log file. Switch log file. Now what this will do? Just watch. We know this will increase the log sequence by 1, but on the right hand side what happened? It says another type of a checkpoint. Beginning log switch checkpoint. Now this time it says log switch. Earlier it said global. So this is a log switch checkpoint. Another name is incremental checkpoint. And it gives more information similar to the previous one. Again it says, okay, this is my SCN. Up to this place I should complete my checkpoint, and the number is 69 pi. It was 69 pi 90 earlier, 69 pi, and finally it says beginning log switch, and it should say completed. Actually beginning log switch checkpoint, the current thread, but it didn't complete this time. It didn't complete, but normally it should complete. Now the reason can be this is in between the cycle. We need to understand more details on that. In between the cycle, it is initially the checkpoint, but it will not complete. Now it completed. It took certain time and now it completed. We can explain this on more detail. Now you can see it took certain time. Incremental checkpoint up to RBA. It took some time. That is the reason is this is in between the redo log cycle. We can check that. Let's check that. Okay, let me just describe. Okay, describe redo log. This will clear that one for you. Let's take select group. Okay, thread no need. Thread is always one now because this is a standalone database, not a clustered one. Sequence, and we need the group and the sequence, and we need status. This is all we need. Only three columns. From $log. So I didn't do anything. After few seconds only this message automatically appeared. The reason is this. So what happened with that log switch? I just paused only one log switch. Group 1, it has switched from, now active means the previous one was, no, that was the previous one. So whatever the current becomes active. So that was the previous one. So the previous sequence was 166. The next sequence is 167. This is the current one. So log switch would have switched from this to this. That means from group 1 to group 2. So that is between the redo thread or redo cycle. Between means it is not going to override the cycle. So in between it might take little time to complete the checkpoint. That's what happens. Now if I keep on doing the log switch, okay, let's just watch this. Alt system switch log file. Now what's going to happen? Now it should jump from this one to this one. That means from group 2 to group 3. It's still in between the cycle. I'm firing the command on the right hand side. So see, it didn't complete. It holding for a while. After few seconds it might say beginning log switch and advanced and completed. This is beginning log switch. Earlier it took certain time, incremental checkpoint up to. So this message will come after several seconds. You just wait for a while and watch. It will automatically come. It might take some time sometimes. If it is not coming, what we can do? We can fire up another log switch, or we can do a alt system checkpoint command, which will post this one. Okay, it might take a little bit. It depends on the system behavior. This is in between the cycle. There is no hurry. But if I do another log switch, see now what happens, I'm going to pause another log switch here. Now end of the cycle. End of the cycle means now if I just select the status now the current one should have been the third group. No. Yes, now it should overwrite. Now if I repeat the command, see what happens. Now it should complete everything. It should complete everything because it has to override the cycle. It has to override because this is the current one and it should override the active one. But status active means checkpoint is not completed. You can see in the alert pipe it gave the message. You can see checkpoint not complete. See, the message was there. The previous one of this, no, it was waiting on this log switch, beginning log switch checkpoint. This is where it was. Now it tried to advance and it was hanging on without completing the checkpoint. Now when I pause, what it said, thread to fan cannot allocate because the checkpoint is not complete. We know that. We knew it because it was waiting. It was waiting in between the cycle. So what it does, it pauses the checkpoint to be completed. So it paused the checkpoint to be completed and then it did the log switch. Now it completed the previous one. Then what happens? Beginning the log switch checkpoint up to RBA. Yeah, so that now it has overridden has happened because once the active status been changed to the current state, that means it has completed the checkpoint for the group 1. That means whatever committed data which was available in the group 1 now being synced up across the system. Across the system means for the data files and for the control file it has updated, the checkpoint has been completed. So that is the process. It might be a little bit of technical for you. We need to understand this in detail. Don't worry, let's go to this one again in more detail. For the time being, I just want to explain this one. The difference between the global checkpoint and the log switch checkpoint. So global checkpoint is what? That is alt system checkpoint command causes a global checkpoint. With global checkpoint means it will update the entire dirty buffers in the buffer cache to the relevant data files. The next one, alt system switch log file will do a incremental checkpoint or a log switch checkpoint. What it does? It just update only the LRU buffers. That's what it says, incremental checkpoint. It will update means what? It will flush only the LRU buffers from the database buffer cache to the relevant data files. That's it. And there's another major change. It will update only the control files. In the incremental checkpoint, only the control files will get updated. The data files will not be updated. But in a global checkpoint, with old system checkpoint command, there are other ways that global checkpoint will take place, which we will understand later. In a global checkpoint, it updates the data files as well as control file both. In the incremental checkpoint, like the log switch checkpoint, it will not update the data files, but it will update the control files. Great. Okay. For the time being, it is more than enough. So let's try to get little by little because understanding checkpoint is a little bit critical. Let me come back in the next session and go on this practical into more detail, having understanding the categories of checkpoints as well with this document. Then we'll come back to this practical again. That will make you the comprehension. It will give you a comprehensive understanding. Great. I will meet you in the next session. Have a great time. Bye bye.